So, this morning started out nice, I thought. I woke Dave up and I said, "How you feeling? Do you feel like getting up and having breakfast, or do you want me to go get you breakfast or whatever?" And he sounded better and looked better. And then he said, "Yeah, I'm feeling better, except there's another problem." And I said, "What?" And he pointed to one of his teeth. And I said, "Oh no, oh no." Dave went to the dentist about, oh God, a week before we left. It was the culmination of a couple of visits. He'd had a crown that had come loose and they couldn't reattach it and ended up having to pull the root, and then they had to create another tooth take an impression and make a tooth to put on his partial to fill that spot. And they got all, there was plenty of time, and he got it all done, and it looks great, and it wasn't a problem. It healed fine. This was a different tooth. But at the same time he had all this other work done, he had her check everything in his mouth to make sure he'd be okay for the duration of this trip. And she x-rayed and looked at everything, and everything was lovely. Well, until it wasn't lovely. So he said that it started hurting during the day when we were at Santorini Island. That was yesterday. And here we are. We're at sea. And there is no dentist on board this ship. So he went to the desk and spoke with the people at the desk, and bless their hearts, they made arrangements for him to go to see a dentist in Naples tomorrow morning. And so he has an appointment. They called from the ship and made him an appointment. And so his day for tomorrow is going to be spent going to the dentist. Isn't that lovely? Thankfully, the dentist is used to dealing with passengers off cruise ships, and Holland America has used the same dentist before, and this does happen. And I've done everything in my power to figure out how bad the situation is, and it doesn't appear to be something really horrid. Our problem, of course, is that we have another 3 weeks before we go home, not 2 days. We have 3 more weeks. So the question is this so bad that we need to abort this entire trip, cancel everything, get on a plane and go home? Or can we ride this out, and we aren't going to know until he goes to the dentist tomorrow? The big issue was me. When he started feeling badly, we decided that there was no way he was going to go to Pompeii. That's strenuous. It involves walking all over these ruins. It was going to be a tough day, and right after it, we arrive back in Civitavecchia, and we have to change ships, and it was just too much. So we had already decided that he would not go to Pompeii. So he said, just because I can't go doesn't mean you can't go. But there's no way in the world I was going to go to Pompeii by myself. So I did something that I have never done before and don't generally recommend, except in a situation like this. I booked a tour with the ship, just for me. I mean, of course I'm going with the group, but I mean me, not Dave, just me. And I'm scheduled to go to Pompeii and then have lunch and then come back to the National Museum in Naples, the Archaeological Museum, where all the stuff from Pompeii is. And this is all a guided tour with lunch and everything. It's a 7-hour tour, and described in the brochure as strenuous. So I'm booked to do that. Now, I booked this before I ever knew that he had a tooth problem and was going to have to go to the dentist. So he's going to be going to the dentist tomorrow, and I'm going to be going and having fun, which makes me feel totally guilty and kind of horrible. But he says this is ridiculous, that he's going to get off the ship, grab a taxi. They wrote out the address of the doctor's office, and the taxi drivers all know exactly where this is, and they will take him right there and deposit him. He will have his appointment. Everyone in the dentist's office speaks English. They'll call him a cab when he's finished, and the cab will bring him right back to the ship. And he should be perfectly fine. And so that's what's planned. And this is called Your Trip Going All to Hell in a Handbasket. And then we'll see what happens after that. So tomorrow might turn out to be an interesting day. Today has been just a perfectly ordinary sea day if it hadn't been for the fact that we've been racing around arranging for dental appointments and shit like that. In the good news department, the weather looked really bad for Naples and Pompeii, but has been improving as the day has gone on a little bit along. Seeing Pompeii in the rain is not my idea of a real fun thing to do. However, a lot of this trip involves lunch, which will be indoors, and the museum, which is also indoors. So hopefully it will all work out. And hopefully this dentist can fix him enough to as I said, put a Band-Aid on this thing so that he'll be okay. This is not the kind of toothache where you sit and scream because your tooth hurts so bad. I've had that, and I had to have a tooth pulled and an implant done. This is if he bites on it, it hurts. If he doesn't bite on it, it doesn't hurt. So we'll see.